Good evening, everybody. Joe from NDB Aviation. It is great to have another one of these State of Flight Simulation coming to you tonight. We're going to talk about Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, X-Plane 11. Unfortunately, I'm sorry guys, I still, however, do not have a copy of Prepare 3D. My flight schedule and other obligations have not allowed me the time to really get into it and get a copy. And therefore, because I don't have the time for it, I don't feel like it's right for me to try to dive in there and even give you some kind of an update of what's going on over there. So hopefully 2021 might give me some time to do that. But as of right now, I do not have an ETA for an inclusion of Prepare 3D in these videos. After I talk about the flight simulators, I will talk about flight sim peripherals, the ones I suggest, or at least manufacturers I suggest. Then we'll talk about PC components and laptops, because yes, you can flight sim on a laptop. I do, mainly because my desktop is dead and I travel a lot. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, a cup of water, or whatever your beverage of choice, snack, whatever you want. Pause the video, come right back, and we'll jump right in. Okay, you're back. So let's talk about Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, which is by far the most interesting flight simulator out there, and it is maturing nicely. Very nice work, Asobo and Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 team. You guys are making a great quality product, and I expect in the future it will be on par for flight sim training and flight sim educational purposes of that of X-Plane 11, and it will be a good mature product as time goes on. They do have a roadmap moving forward of when to expect basically some idea of improvements coming in the future by fan vote and by what they've put out there and seen as product improvements that they plan to bring to the overall future renderings or versions of Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. So I'll try to put that up here shortly if I haven't already. You can take a look at that, and if you need to pause it, pause it. And if you want to go to the website, I'll leave a link to the article from Microsoft Flight Sim 2020's website so you can see when they're planning certain updates, or at least in the basic ETA of those improvements as they come out, or when they should be coming out. So what are the issues with Microsoft Flight Sim 2020? And I'm not going to get into every issue, but let's say, what is it doing great? It's doing a great job of being a VFR basic training platform or enjoyable flight simulation experience to get people's feet wet with flight simulation and aviation, which is important. You want to get people sold on the idea of becoming a pilot or just having fun with a flight simulator, and I think Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 does a great job of that. The visuals are great, the systems are getting better, the avionics are getting better, and the autopilot functions that tie into these great products from SciTech, now Logitech, or the new and shipping now Bravo throttle quadrant from Honeycomb. All these functions are getting better to tie into these flight sim peripherals that allow you to take your flight sim experience to another level of realism that you can get on the consumer side of things. And even if you have a custom built flight simulator at home, these are great products to add in if you don't have something like them already. So visuals are great. Aerodynamic improvements to how aircraft should fly, and systems rendering or systems implementation in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 are still not great, but they're getting better. It's maturing. It takes time. New product, you know, it's going to take some time for it to get better. You know, you still don't have a perfect point A to point B GPS navigation system. Like given, yeah, it'll go direct. You can build some basic flight plans. But overall, are you getting what you want out of it? For RNAV approaches, they're just not there yet. It sucks. Or stinks. It stinks, sorry. But it could be better, and hopefully there are improvements coming. Visuals are great. Button mapping and assigning certain aircraft functionality to, say, like a Bravo throttle quadrant or a Logitech throttle quadrant, or say you're trying to fine-tune your switch panel or autopilot panel and other devices you've bought for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. It's getting better. They're making it a little bit easier. You know, there's that auto detect function. You can see actually which buttons are being used at the moment. You can see which axis is in movement, which is very important. There are some issues though with, say, right off my honeycomb Bravo throttle quadrant, but say you're assigning reverse thrust. That one's under throttle decrease instead of toggle thrust reverse. But when you assign this, make sure you go back and then forward to show the button turning on and off again. Otherwise, it may not stick properly or it may not code properly within the simulator. That's gotten better. However, with the latest patch from what I've seen when I redid everything for a new profile setup, and it's getting easier to take a basic profile and fix it, because there are some issues with like throttle 1 and throttle 2 being reversed from left to right, and a couple other areas on the throttle quadrant where you see the axes themselves are a little weird. But it's getting easier to find the one that works, and then making sure everything is assigned the way you like, fine-tuning it, especially for the autopilot functions, and then making a brand new version of that, renaming it, and then having your different profiles for different aircraft. And what you're going to find, it doesn't matter if you have the Logitech products or the Bravo throttle quadrant or say some other product out there, the Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 coding from one aircraft to another, they're trying to make everything work across so many different aircraft. And this happens in X-Plane 11 as well, depending on what aircraft you're flying. There are some issues where, say, one airplane can't do one thing, the other airplane can do it. So they're taking the one size fits all sometimes, where if you press a button, it's going to try to do that same thing in every aircraft, and it just doesn't work. Or maybe you're getting one airplane that should never have a airspeed pitch function or something else. And there are all these weird little issues that are getting better. You know, I've been playing with the Bravo throttle quadrant for 2+ months now, and I've seen Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 mature, and it's getting better. Is it 100% where you want it right now? No, but it's a great start for aviation simulation or aviation basic training purposes. So you can assign everything better now. It's a little bit easier to get into the ecosystem and set up your flight sim peripherals in Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. So overall, I still think Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 is worth your money. It is a good place to start, but we're going to use this to segue into X-Plane 11. If you are a flight instructor, if you're a career pilot that's now retiring early or getting close to retiring, or you're stepping out and away from the career aviation job and you want to become a CFI, CFII again, and you want to fly smaller aircraft, X-Plane 11 is going to be your way to go, because it's the best turnkey, non-certified simulator software that you can just plug into a laptop or a desktop, throw a yoke with it, some rudder pedals, and a throttle quadrant, and you have a good ecosystem to get back into all of that knowledge you once had, refresh it, and get yourself around the GA system, which really shouldn't take much time, but all the other parameters, whether it's the aircraft modeling, the aerodynamics, the engine modeling, the engine systems, and all those other little things that you may want to get back into and refresh your memory of. X-Plane 11 does a really good job with that, and it's basically, it's already a mature product, and it's gotten better recently with some visual improvements, moving over to Vulkan for coding, and it does a better job of utilizing your CPU, GPU, and overall system resources. And visuals are getting better. There is a good catalog of add-ons from different manufacturers or software companies, whatever you want to call them, that you can really add a lot more into X-Plane 11 to get more out of it and enjoy it more. So, however, if we're talking about a stock program, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 versus X-Plane 11, X-Plane 11 is your training platform with everything you want in it, well done. Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 is a growing and maturing platform that will be there at some point. It's not there yet, but it has amazing visuals, and that is where X-Plane 11 just falls short. It does not have the beautiful scenery. It does not have the beautiful aircraft textures and everything else that just make it pop visually on the screen for you. But it's your best training platform right now. And Prepare 3D could be there as well. I just haven't played with Prepare 3D for about 2.5, 3 years now. So I cannot speak to prepare 3D. However, I would assume it's doing a great job as well. So that's really it for the flight simulators. You know, that's a really short one this month to catch up in November and December, because Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 is maturing. It's not perfect. It has issues with aerodynamics. It has issues with the avionics, the overall systems implementation, and so many things, but they're all getting better. And there's nothing there for me to say, don't use Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. It's a fine product. I recommend it, but it's not a full-on training platform yet. It'll get there in time. But if you're trying to train, if you're trying to become a better pilot, student pilot, or you're stepping away from one area of aviation into another, X-Plane 11 is probably going to be your best bet to get your best transference of rote knowledge and apply it to something so you can actually continue to build your overall knowledge, skill, and understanding of systems and aircraft and aviation, or just really enjoy flight simulation. So we are done talking about flight sim software. Let's move on and talk about flight sim peripherals like joysticks, throttle quadrants, rudder pedals, so on and so forth. And this one's going to be pretty short, actually. I'm going to talk about which companies are doing a really good job and which ones I suggest due to fit, finish, growth of catalog, support of products, and future going out, seeing what they're coming out to market with. And I got to say, Honeycomb Aeronautical is my #1 right now because of their growth and what they're trying to do and achieve and who they're really working with to get there. So the #1 company right now that I recommend waiting for their products, considering their products are sold out everywhere you look for them, is going to be Honeycomb Aeronautical. If you can wait for the product, wait for it. If you can't wait for their products to come into stock and you want the next best thing, look at Thrustmaster when it comes to joysticks and overall products. I think they have some good offerings. They have some offerings that I would not recommend, but overall, Thrustmaster I'd say is #2 spot, especially if you're looking for joysticks and combat style or commercial style throttle quadrants. #3 is going to be Logitech. They have a large catalog. However, it doesn't seem like they're innovating much, and knowing the history of Scitech and the fact that Logitech bought Scitech, and I know there were a lot of other cool products coming to market from Scitech, they just never made it to market due to the financial issues the company ran into. I think Logitech has some stuff maybe behind the scenes they're working on, or hopefully they're working on, and it could greatly improve their product catalog, because their product catalog right now is pretty old, and some things work, some things do an okay job, but they could do a lot better of a job. So Logitech is in 3rd place for overall fit, finish, build quality, and support a product. And again, if that's all you can find, it's all you can find. And I think they have some good products. They're not, I wouldn't say all their products are great, but however, if it's all you can get, if it's all you can afford, and you have to build a flight simulator right now, they're still a reputable company to go with. 4th place goes to CH Products. They are very basic. However, they have a great track record for reliability and functionality, and I think you're going to be overall pretty well satisfied if you buy their products. But there's not a whole lot of new things from their product catalog. There's not a whole lot of innovation. They're just decent products overall, and if that's all you can get, it's all you can get. So Honeycomb is the top of the pyramid right now, or top of the totem pole, with Thrustmaster, then Logitech, then CH Products. There are a lot of other companies out there coming out with products, and what I'd recommend you do before you buy anything from somebody that's not tried or true, see what the community is saying. See what's out there on the forums. See what's out there from reviews from blogs or websites, or even flight sim publications that are talking about those products and what they think overall, how well they work, and their build quality. So if you watched my video from about a month or 2 back, adding realism to flight simulation, you will have a pretty good idea of what products I really suggest, as far as which ones I think are really close to adding realism. So if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that if you got the chance and time. If not, I recommend pretty much the Alpha Yoke, Bravo Throttle Quadrant rudder pedals. I recommend the Thrustmaster rudder pedals, If you're going for joysticks, there are a lot of good joysticks on the market right now from Thrustmaster, from the higher tier, mid-tier price range. So you're looking like $100 or greater from Thrustmaster. I think their rudder pedals are probably the best on market right now. Not the pendulum ones, are really expensive, but the basic ones, because it looks like they'll hold your feet in place better than the Logitech or the CH products rudder pedals. And if you're going to buy Logitech products, I really don't care for the ProFly product, especially if it's the exact same build and design from Sci-Tech from years ago. However, if Logitech took the Cessna yoke and put all the parts that were inside the Cessna yoke into the new ProFlight yoke from Logitech, I think that would be a much better product. If they did that, that'd be awesome. Logitech, please, if you're watching, let me know if you did that. Or somebody, if you actually have that product built by Logitech now, if they've improved it, let me know. Let me know if the yoke goes a full 90 degrees of deflection and if it has a much better centering spring if you own the older Sci-Tech product. I haven't had a chance to play with the new one yet, so I cannot tell you exactly. So those are my basic suggestions. If Logitech, you want their joysticks, I like their space joysticks better than I like some of their flight sim joysticks. I think it's, from what I remember of how Sci-Tech built some of those products, the ones that now Logitech is saying are their space products, I think are better products overall, and there was some better overall functionality built into them, but I don't know what Logitech is doing in their production of each of those units at this point. So there's a lot there that could have changed that I don't know about, since I don't know anyone at Logitech. I don't know their production, and I have not had a chance to truly play with any of those products since the acquisition of Sci-Tech becoming a Logitech brand, so, or all their IP and manufacturing. So you have an idea, go back to the old Adding Realism to Flight Simulation video to see a little bit more of what I'm talking about and understand which products I really recommend. If you're going to buy used, be careful. Maybe a refurb from a good reputable source would be recommended versus buying something off of Facebook Marketplace or eBay or somewhere else. So please be careful. Don't overspend on products that you don't know if they're actually going to work. And that's really all I got to say, because I know it's hard to find flight sim peripherals. If you can wait for the honeycomb products. If you can't wait, see what you can find in stock from any of the other reputable manufacturers, being Thrustmaster, Logitech, or CH products. But really, honeycomb is making some products that are amazing quality, that bridge the gap between being something from intermediate level to almost an advanced level at a good price point. And they do a good job with those products. So wait for the honeycomb products if you can. If you can't, you have my suggestions, at least which way I grade each of the companies, being 1 through 4. So moving on, I'm trying to run through this as quickly as possible because I don't want to take too much of your time for this update video. Let's talk about PC parts. Now, I know we're straying out of my realm of specialty, but however, I've been around flight simulation for a very, very long time. Since I was a kid in the 80s, I used flight simulators all the way up to now. How old I am, I'm not gonna say, but I've got a lot of experience under my belt from being young to now being middle-aged. So there are a lot of new products coming to the market right now from AMD and soon Intel. Also, NVIDIA has brought out their new GPUs. So what you have a problem of is supply and demand issues. You have people that are buying up massive quantities of the GPUs from NVIDIA and selling them at extreme markups. Please don't buy from them. Wait until the prices come down. I've seen the same thing seems to be happening with some of the AMD chips, the new 5000 series CPUs. I think those are great CPUs. However, I think bang for the buck for performance, you might still be better off with an Intel chip depending on what your overall use is going to be for your desktop. So look at what everyone's saying. Try to figure out your overall goals for your desktop build if you're going to build yourself, and maybe wait for those new 11th gen Intel chips to come out. And I know, yeah, AMD is beating the pants off of Intel for certain applications. However, for gaming purposes, it's pretty close. So go with what you want. Don't overspend, and I think anything that's like the 3600 from AMD, 5600 and up will be a good chip for a desktop build, and I'm hoping I got those numbers right. But basically a 6 core and up CPU from AMD or Intel should do just fine for flight simulation purposes. However, do understand that if you spend the cheapest amount you can on a CPU and then you spend the high dollars on the RTX 3080, the 3080 from NVIDIA, you're going to get into a bottleneck issue most likely, and you're not going to get the best performance out of your 3080. So look at a higher end i5 or a higher end AMD chip to really maximize the throughput of that GPU if you're going to spend that high price or high dollar for a good GPU or top end GPU. And again, for NVIDIA, if you've got to have that 3080 or 3090 chip or GPU from NVIDIA, you might have to wait because it seems like it's hard to get them. They're overpriced right now due to supply and demand issues. But if you've got to have a new desktop right now, if your 2020 Christmas tree has to have a tower sitting beside it and it's going to be yours for gaming, flight simulation, look at Dell, look at Alienware, HP. Man, I'm trying to count all the different companies. I need like two hands for all the companies out there now. But look for a pre-built system. You're going to get a better bang for your buck there. And some of them are discounted with even the new brand new NVIDIA 3000 GPUs in there. So if you can wait for the new products, comparisons, and see where they all really fall for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 X-Plane 11 purposes, if you can't wait and you got the money, go out and buy whatever you want. I'd love to hear what some of you guys are building right now and how well it's working in the flight simulators. If you have to buy right now and you're like me, you're always on a budget, I would look at a pre-built system and see what you can get best bang for the buck. I really like the RTX 3070 or the 2070 Super, and I like the mid-range Intel i7 chips, the entry-level ones of those. I think they do a pretty good job, CPU bang for the buck value, and the AMD chips do a good job, especially for me. There's video editing, photo editing, and flight simulation, and a very light bit of gaming. So AMD or Intel works for me. It might work for you as well. However, I'm going to stick with a GPU, graphics processing unit from NVIDIA, and I would go for the 3070 if I can get my hands on it, and if I could afford it, a 3080, and if I had a ton of money to throw, I would do a 3090. If I was going to do a pre-built system, I'd probably go with maybe Alienware. I know they're expensive. Maybe some of the pre-builts from HP, Omen. There's a lot out there. Just do your research and see what you feel comfortable with. A lot of it comes down to aesthetics as well and finding the best deal. I know CyberPower, iBuyPower, there are a bunch of other budget builders out there that have gotten better with their building and also their support. So you have a lot of options. Find what looks best to you, read reviews, and that way you can make a good decision on whether or not the product you're buying you're going to be comfortable with moving forward for the next 3 to 10 years, depending on how long you keep a PC for. And last but not least, let's close out with laptops. Laptops I use because I travel a lot. My desktop is dead, and as I rebuild it, it will be a Frankenstein of a machine until I've got the money set aside to really put all the parts I want into it. But laptops are where we're going to close out. And there are going to be a lot of good deals on laptops this Christmas because the new laptops with the new AMD chips are coming in the next several months, the new NVIDIA GPUs, and also the 11th gen Intel chips that are doing a pretty good job of catching up with AMD. I don't know if they're going to surpass AMD because we don't have the full release. I think we've got some leaked benchmarks for the new CPUs from both Intel and AMD, and we don't know yet of the overall performance of the mobile chips of the RTX 3000 series in laptops yet, because we know we're going to see some kind of percentage drop due to power limitations and heat limitations in a laptop. So hopefully it's the usual like 15 to 20% performance drop that we usually see every year from NVIDIA when they take a desktop chip and put it into a mobile platform. But we have to wait and see what the overall ending will be on this one, what we're going to see true performance of. So if you can wait, because you're going to be happier 3 months, 4 months down the road when you just plunk down $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 or more on a laptop that is about to be beaten out by a lot of new products. But if you have to buy right now, there are some good deals to be had on laptops that have either the AMD 4800 CPU or Intel i7-10750H CPU paired with an RTX 2060. Now those laptops may not have the best screen, they're not going to be the top of the line models, but they're going to give you a pretty good bang for the buck value for being able to run X-Plane 11 or Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 on medium settings, maybe low settings, depending on what you're doing and where you're flying. But you'll be able to do the basics and be able to train within the system with those laptops. And that's around the $1,000, give or take $300, going up to about $1,300. If you're able to spend $1,500 or more, and I've found some around $1,400, depending on the sales and which company they're coming from, you can get an Intel i7-10750H or 10875H, which is the 8-core variant from Intel, paired with an RTX 2070 Super Max P, not a Max Q, but a Max P, Max Performance GPU. And you can find those around $1,500 and up right now with a decent screen. So you have a lot of good options right now for laptops at a reasonable price point. And I think that is where you're going to see something where you have the least amount of buyer's remorse 3 months down the road. Now, if you can find, I saw this at Micro Center, they have a power spec PC laptop. It's a chunky 15-incher, but it has the Intel i7-10875H paired with an RTX 2070 Super. And it's basically the same thing you get from Sager. I think it's a Clevo notebook or laptop built from China. But that performance should give you a lot of bang for your buck for a couple years to come at a good price point. I think it was like $1,550 overall. So with taxes, depending on where you live, you're looking at like $1,700. So it's a really good price point for a laptop if you're willing to pay for a laptop. Now, there are higher performing laptops. If you have the money for it, great. If you're like me and you're on a budget, I'm always looking for sales. So that sweet spot of that i7-10875H or the 10750H i7 Intel with an RTX 2070 Super Max P, not Max Q, you're going to find from $1,500 to $2,000. And what's going to drive the price up is going to be how much RAM is in there, the hard drive, whether it's an SSD or a spinning platter hard disk drive, and the quality of the screen. So you might make some trade-offs, but you could find a really good deal right now, especially going into Christmas as they start to get rid of the current laptops and replace them with older ones. However, if you buy an Alienware, I have been able to play with the Alienwares. However, the RAM is soldered on, which is a big no-no for me. I thought that was going to be fixed with the M15, M17 R3s, but however, it was not, and that was not made known to me, unfortunately. When I talked to Dell months back about potentially buying an M15 or M17 R3, there was a conversation where they said, oh yeah, you could upgrade it. And then later I found out you cannot. So let that be known. I know there are some Asus laptops out there and other companies that are still soldering some RAM on, but you still have worn bay open to at least put one in. So you have some options potentially. So look at reviews and make sure you're buying something you're going to be happy with in the long run. If you are going to buy something over $2,000 or an RTX 2080 Super Max Performance or an RTX 2080 Super Max Q, there are some good ones out there, but try to find them with a deep discount because I don't think your overall value return is going to be what you want in 3 months. You might have some serious buyer's remorse. So hopefully this video helps some people out there. Like always, I'm trying to help anybody that is the first time flight simulator simmer to somebody that's been flight simming for a long time for the fun of it, doing multiplayer, flying for a virtual cargo or airline within flight simulation, to somebody that's an actual pilot, whether you're a career pilot, you're towards the end of your career, somewhere in between, or just starting off as a private pilot student and you want to become somebody that flies those big aircraft in the future. I'm trying to help everybody else, help everyone out that I can, from zero to hero or anywhere in between. Leave your questions and comments below. Like and subscribe if you like the content. If you don't like the content, tell me how I can make it better, because that's what I want to do. I want to help you all with anything you want to do within flight simulation and aviation. So thank you for your time. Please stay safe, stay healthy out there, and see you again real soon. Bye-bye.